Hi, I'm Emily Frazier, the Executive Director of the Helena Area Community Foundation, and welcome to another Ask Me Anything, where we sit down with a nonprofit representative from our nonprofit of the month and learn more about what they do and why it makes the greater Helena area a great place to be. Today, we have Stephen with the Rocky Mountain Development Council, which is our March 2024 nonprofit of the month. And so we're happy to have you and can't wait to hear more about what you guys are doing in the community. And
thank you. Thanks for bringing me in. I appreciate it.
So start by telling us your name, title. What do you do?
So I'm Stephen Ferreter, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator. So I do a lot of, obviously, outreach within our community. I do our social media stuff. I help with a lot with our fundraising.
Yep.
And just kind of coordinating between all our different program directors.
Right. And you guys just had an event.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us about it a little bit.
It was great. So it is called Chopped, and it's based off the television show Chopped from
Right.
Food Network. It was the third time we've done it, and it went really well. And it's great because it's very community orientated,
right?
And we like to be involved with the community. So we bring in 3 local chefs. This year we had Emma Ramirez, Chris Abrego, and Adonis Garzon.
Okay.
Who are all local business owners in town.
Okay.
They compete in a live cooking competition.
And is it like full on like baskets with like secret ingredients?
Yeah, it's literally exactly like the show.
Yeah,
so it's 3 rounds. Yeah, it's really fun. And it works really great because we can do it in our building down at the south end of the Walking Mall.
Sure.
So we have a big dining room and a kitchen. And so the setup kind of works perfectly. So yeah, 3-round cooking competition. We sold the event out. Emma Ramirez was this year's winner. And it was the 3rd year we've done it. 2nd year since I've been there. They did it in 2019 as well. And then we did it the last 2 years in a row.
Awesome.
So
took a little COVID break, understandably.
Took a COVID break. Yeah. They actually, I think the year they did it before I got there, it was actually 2020. And they did it literally like a week before COVID.
Yeah.
And so took the break, but now we're back.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I kind of jumped ahead. Normally we start with tell us in 10 words or less what your organization does, and I will count.
So, okay. We fight poverty to improve lives and strengthen our communities.
You might have been at 11,
10?
But that's really
okay.
good.
I thought
that's
it was
very
10,
good.
Yeah.
Okay. So when if you're like me and you wanted to refresh your mind about what Rocky does and you went to the website, you're going to see like a lot of programs.
Yeah.
And it looks to me like there's like 4 main categories. So I saw senior, kids, housing, and energy.
Yep. So those are kind of...
That's pretty wide swath of things.
Very broad. You're right.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. And it's a big mission, and it takes a lot of people to kind of try to accomplish it.
Sure. So why such a broad mission? Like what?
I'll give you... That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a history lesson, I guess.
That's okay.
So we're what is known as a community action agency.
Okay.
And so in 1965, President Lyndon Johnson declared a war on poverty.
Right.
And they figured that the best way, they did a lot of research. They hired a guy named Doc Savage, I think. You have to look that up. He was running the Peace Corps at the time, and President Johnson tasked him with forming these, with figuring out the best way to fight poverty. Mm-hmm. And what he came up with was the best way to fight poverty was to get in at the community level and fight them on the ground. Mm-hmm. And so that's how community action agencies were created.
Okay.
And when you're fighting something like poverty, it's very broad.
That's true.
Very broad problem. So kind of inherently, when you're fighting a broad problem, you have to have a broad organization that's trying to accomplish a lot of things at once. So that's kind of why we do so much, or attempt to do so much, just because as a community action agency, we're fighting a very vast problem, big problem.
Yeah.
So.
And one that's changing in our community.
Always changing.
Yeah.
Always changing, but also things that are always the same.
Right.
So it's sort of kind of timeless problems, but they evolve and they're always different.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I know you guys were also involved when back in August when we had the Iron Front building fire, you guys helped get some funding and some temporary housing set up. And we were working on that with you. So that was exciting to see.
Yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. Sometimes we don't necessarily know when the other ones are showing up to things. So it's good to I kind of love it when our nonprofits run into each other and get to experience each other in different ways.
Totally.
But
yeah.
Tell me a little bit about, so we have a few questions from online.
Okay.
Not too many people. You got to start submitting more questions. Otherwise we make them up and pretend that you wrote them. So, But what do you wish that? So, well, I'm going to ask one of my own personally first. So, if there's a lot of programs and a lot of things that happen in our community that I might not know that Rocky is doing. So, do you want to list off a couple of those?
Our programs?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the ones
definitely.
that because there's some that have their own titles that people know about,
Right.
but they might not realize that they're run by Rocky.
Right. So that's another great question and a great subject to bring up. So some of our programs that are really well known that people might not know that we run would be our Head Start program,
Right.
our Meals on Wheels program,
Yeah.
Affordable housing. We have, oh man, I want to say, I'm not even going to guess. I know we have 4 affordable housing units in Helena, I think. We have affordable housing in Townsend, in Whitehall, and some in Boulder as well.
Yeah.
So that is under the umbrella of affordable housing.
Sure. And some of they're not just like buildings. Some of them are like little developments, right?
Yeah. So like in Helena, if you go out kind of on the northwest end of town by the railroad tracks, there's a place called Red Alder, and those are apartments for families. So yeah, and it's sort of a big complex area, kind of like its own little neighborhood. This shows how many things are going on at Rocky, where it's like there's a lot going on, and it's hard to.
Well, and you can't be an expert on all of them either.
Right.
So.
Right.
I think the ones I was thinking of were especially things like Meals on Wheels that people know about.
Yes,
know it's a service,
don't know
but I'm
that
not
we
sure
do.
that they know that you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you guys, like, you can come have lunch with seniors like any day of the week, right?
Totally. So we have, as part of our senior nutrition program, we offer lunch at our facility, again, on the south end of the Walking Mall. It's called the Neighborhood Center for people that don't know. And it's actually, the lunch is open to the public, and it's served every day from 11:30 to 12:30. And we get anywhere from 50 to 100 seniors in there every day, depending on the day. So it's really cool.
But like if you want to come with grandma or something.
Oh yeah, you can. Anybody can come.
That's very cool.
And it's really affordable. It's actually really good.
Yeah.
Get a salad bar with your.
It's kind of like
lunch.
It kind of reminds me of hot lunch when you were a kid, but like probably a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly. An elevated hot lunch.
There's the menu online and stuff.
Yeah, so we post. Yeah, there's a weekly menu, and it changes every week. It's really nutritious. We have a really great salad bar that comes along with it, and people oftentimes will just swing in with their grandparents, or even if they just want to get to know the elders in their community, they'll come in and have lunch. So yeah, it's really cool.
And you guys have some other senior programs too, yeah? Yeah,
so there's we have there's all kinds of activities and classes going on every day. Exercise classes, card games, bingo's a big one. Pinochle. We have a monthly Pinochle tournament that's really big. So yeah, those are kind of the senior programs that we have. We also have Rocky's Agency on Aging.
Okay.
And that is a resource for seniors in town to connect them with programs, assist them in getting signed up with things like Medicare and Medicaid. Really any resource they might need. Agency on Aging helps specifically with that need, and helps the goal of our Agency on Aging program is to help seniors age in their homes as well as they can without having to go into a nursing home, which oftentimes aren't available for people anyways. So that's a great resource for our seniors.
Affordable, all those things.
Yeah. Exactly. Yep. What other programs?
So you've got the ones for the folks that are older, but you also have the ones like I know my nephew goes. Oh, and actually my niece does too now. They come downstairs and go to preschool. So
yes. Sorry to interrupt you. So along with our Head Start program, which is free childhood education for children 3 to 5, which is also in the center, in the basement. We have our only for-profit portion of our organization, which is Rocky Mountain Preschool. So yeah, that's full, and I think it's booked out for 3 years right now. So so yeah, it's really cool. The neighborhood center is a great place. We have seniors, we have kids.
Yeah,
it's really busy. Kind of lively
I think
place.
I went there to drop something off on behalf. We share space with Child Care Connections. They're our landlords, and very, very lovely building. We love being here. But I think I was picking up my nephew from daycare, and then I ended up dropping some books to somebody there. But there's stuff going on all over the place, and it's all sorts of different kinds of people, all walks of life, all ages, all. Yeah,
the neighborhood center is a very appropriate name. It's people from all walks of life that come in.
So
Fun place to work.
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
There's always something going on.
There is.
I always get lost though. It's not a tiny building.
No, it's an old building, old big building.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was part of the urban renewal program, and
Yeah.
it's a great building though. But yeah, you can get lost.
Yeah. So how many people work for Rocky?
We have over 100. I would say in the 150 range.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's
Okay.
a lot of people. You know, that includes all our Head Start teachers and staff.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, like I said, affordable housing units and Head Start locations in Jefferson, Broadwater, and Lewis and Clark County.
Okay.
And those are our 3 areas of service.
Okay.
So there are a lot of employees.
Yeah.
A lot going on.
So, and you've got other sites too. The neighborhood center isn't where
the neighborhood center is our administrative, along with our senior dining and childcare locations.
So is that kind of the hub?
Not our
is that
only.
Kind of
that's the hub.
campus?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have, like I said, our Head Start facilities, our other affordable housing units spread throughout our Tri-County area of service. But that is like the hub. Is a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so tell me a little bit. I know that your program, or that Rocky, rather, your organization, is one of the HRDCs in the state of Montana.
Right.
Tell me a little bit more about what that means.
So it's just meant as a resource for communities. And Rocky's a little bit unique in that we offer more than the typical HRDC.
Right.
Oftentimes it'll just be like an affordable housing situation.
Is that usually Human Resources Development Council?
Sorry,
right?
yeah, it's Human Resource Development Council.
Yeah, no need to apologize. We all nonprofit people swim in alphabet soup.
I glazed right over it.
Yeah, we're so used to hearing them.
Right, but you get a lot from that name, right? It's a resource for humans in our community, and so kind of it's meant to be a little bit of a one-stop shop, I guess. If you're looking for assistance in the community, I like to, people call into Rocky all the time with a wide variety of questions. And even if we don't specifically serve that need, we can always help them and assist them. Yeah. And find someone that can. Yeah. So
you're pretty well networked with the other nonprofits in the community as well, I would assume.
Yeah, definitely. We do a lot of work with a lot of nonprofits. I think we did a little bit with you. So yeah, we network very well with all the nonprofits and other resources in town that can assist people.
Yeah. Sometimes somebody will come to me and be like, where do I do X? And it's like, I might not know, but someplace like Rocky would.
Right.
So
exactly. And also like with the size of our organization and the amount of staff we have, somebody can always find an answer.
Yeah.
For people that need help.
So what do you wish people knew about Rocky Mountain Development Council?
I just wish people understood all of the programs we have, especially some of our not just our well-known programs, our lesser-known programs as well, but we just have so much going on and there's so much good that goes on at Rocky. And I just wish people knew that when they heard something like Head Start or Meals on Wheels, that was part of Rocky.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think some of those programs are so, known even nationally. We if you say Meals on Wheels, most people have a pretty good understanding of what that means. Right. But don't necessarily think about who runs it and why. Right. So let me ask, I'm hoping that some of your programs are government, federally, state funded as well.
So and that's it. I was actually going to explain that. So Meals on Wheels, for instance, or Head Start are federal programs, but we're the nonprofit that runs those. Right. And so actually all of our programs are federally funded, other than our preschool, Rocky Mountain Preschool. And so we're the entity that kind of runs those federal programs in our Helena or our Tri-County area. Right. So,
but I'm guessing and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing you guys could still use some support from.
Oh, totally. So the federal funding is just the bare bones of kind of running a program. Right. And there's so much more that goes into that. Yeah. And so private support is huge for us.
I mean, it's still good to have because, we need, basically the government's also agreeing we need these resources in our communities.
Totally.
But they wouldn't be doing as much good if we didn't have other support.
Not at all. And it actually wouldn't be possible. Yeah. Like for instance, we need new vehicles, especially living in Montana. We were able to just purchase a new Meals on Wheels vehicle because of private support. And so without private support, it wouldn't really be feasible to run the programs at all. So
very cool.
It's imperative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, we've got a swath of programs covering people in lots of stages of life.
Right.
What's the total like how far are your fingerprints stretching? How many people are you working with on an average year?
It's hard to really gauge that exactly. To give you an idea, though, our Meals on Wheels program alone serves about 88,000 meals a year
Mm-hmm.
in our Tri-County area. Again, that's Lewis and Clark, Broadwater, and Jefferson counties.
Right.
Um, our affordable housing, I think we served or had about 382 households. So I mean, it's thousands of people,
Right.
and it's really hard to put a number on it.
Right.
So yeah, I would guess 10,000. I
Yeah.
mean,
But direct service,
some
like you're directly working with a lot of people.
yeah,
We have a hard time
yeah,
guessing about how we help because we help other nonprofits mostly. So
right.
we're like, we assume these things stretch out pretty far, but like you guys are
Right.
like hands on physically
Yeah, I mean, and I
in
shouldn't have even
contact with
guessed on that
lots of
number.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a big number,
Yeah. No, that's
and
cool.
it's a lot of people. Yeah,
But I think it's a
so
big number, and I'm not sure that everybody understands that much is going on. I
right,
mean, people might know
right,
the neighborhood center, they might know Head Start, they might know a
right,
few things.
right.
I think the other one we didn't really touch on much is the energy program, and I don't really know much about that one either.
Yeah, so that's another great program. So that is again like our agency on aging. There's We don't directly service people, but we connect them or help
Sure.
them get assistance with something like LIHEAP, which is low income
Sure.
heat energy assistance program. And then through our weatherization program, we contract out with contractors in town that are willing to help people that need assistance with like home reparations and things like that to get them through the winter
Yeah.
or just to make their house livable.
Right.
So we connect people and assist people in getting those needs met.
Yeah. Because some of these old houses, like that can be a huge financial strain for a family.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
I mean, I was talking to a friend who said that their power bill, like they had to make some changes because their power bill was like $700 in the winter.
Yeah.
And
yeah. So even if you
me.
don't, a lot of our energy assistance programs, again, those are federal programs like the LIHEAP one that I touched on, and they're income based. But even for people that aren't, meeting that income requirement, trying to keep your house warm is extremely expensive for everybody, right? So the amount of people, and this is, as we had talked about, these are age-old problems, but something like heat affordability has gotten worse and worse,
right?
And so that energy assistance program is huge,
right?
Yeah, and so that's kind of how that works, to answer your question.
Yeah. And I'm guessing demand I've heard from some of the housing conversations I have, I know that like the wait list, for example, at Red Alder is huge.
It is.
I'm guessing, is that true for most of your programs?
Yeah, just about all our programs. The Meals on Wheels is different. We can basically get people on that if they want to join and they need assistance with nutrition.
Okay.
So that one is pretty flexible. The rest of them are pretty
tight.
Yeah, pretty tight.
Yeah.
And it just shows the need for what we're doing.
So if you could pick one area that you could just snap your fingers and expand to help fill that need, what would you
man, that's
it's
so
a personal
hard.
question. It's not necessarily
that's a hard one. As someone who is thinking about having a family, I would say our childcare programs. And I think that's just such a pressing need for people.
Well, when we talk about like some of the biggest challenges facing our community generally right now, housing is up there, but childcare is too.
Childcare is huge. Yeah.
I was reading an article, I'm trying to remember where it was. Of course, I can't cite my sources on the spot, but it was talking about like the new or the lack of a middle class has a lot to do with how much you pay for housing and how much you have to pay for childcare.
Right.
If you can even get it.
Right.
So,
I think it's hard pressed to even find right now in Helena, basically every town in the state and the nation.
Yeah, it's not our problems aren't just Helena problems.
Not just Helena, yeah.
So, what's do you have anything coming up that you want us to know about? Anything people should be watching for? I'll talk about what we have generally coming up as a Helena community, but
yeah, right. Nothing in the we're gonna have a small kind of party get together at Copper Furrow Brewing sometime in the spring here coming up.
Nice.
So I would just say like follow us on Facebook and Instagram and watch out for our stuff. And then later down the road, so we have two big fundraisers a year, our Rocky fundraiser and then Head Start, Friends of Head Start, which is an entity that helps support our Head Start program and raise funds for them, is going to be holding their annual fundraiser in October called the Extravaganza.
Oh, fun. Okay.
So that's down the road, and then we'll be at all kind of summer events and spring events as the weather gets nicer.
Yeah. So I mean, if RMDC or Rocky Mountain Development Council are not things that you've heard of or thought of very much, you might want to go poke around their website and learn about a new program.
Totally.
Speaking of websites you can poke around, Greater Helena Gives is coming up. So for any nonprofit leaders who are watching, if you haven't registered yet, you better get on it. You're running out of time. But for just general people who are watching, Rocky is one of the probably 100 or so nonprofits that's going to be participating.
Yep.
And has that been a good event for you guys?
Yeah, it's been great. It's a nice little boost for us, fundraiser. And they've done it since I've been here. I'm assuming they've probably been doing it since, I don't know how long you've been doing it.
This is the 10th year. So we're on year 10.
Yeah. And I believe Rocky's been involved every year, I would think.
Yeah.
So
you guys do a lot. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah. But no, it's a great little fundraiser for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be a part of it.
Well, that's coming up on May 1st and 2nd. So that starts Wednesday night at 8 p.m. and goes till Thursday night at 8 p.m. And by the time we're sitting down with our April nonprofit of the month, it's going to be like a couple of days away. So, but mark it on your calendars and start prepping. I keep gesturing over here because we have our mascot, Dawn, and her dog, Orbit, and we have all of our little mini Dons. I've been calling them Dawn Spawn. But that's courtesy of our operations manager, who on top of being very good at being an operations manager is also an artist who drew the coloring book pages, drew the mascot, and can crochet them. So
nice.
If you didn't know that crocheting needs to be on your next hiring skill set, apparently it's been big for us. Yeah, it's a really good thing to have. So highly recommend it's also calming, apparently. I don't know what that sounds like. Nice. I don't know what relaxing is, but it sounds fun. Perfect. Well, thank you for being here, and thanks for telling us more about Rocky. And I'm sure a lot of us are gonna. I mean, I'm always reminded that there's stuff going on that even me, somebody who's pretty well aware of the nonprofit community and fairly connected, like I learn new things when I go on everybody's websites too.
Totally.
So
right.
Poke around, follow on social media, and and thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.